present, so we'll just start as it's time. I'm Melissa Heighton. I'm Director of Learning, Teaching and Web Services, University of Edinburgh. This is my colleague, Stephanie Charlie Farley and we work together, obviously, in the University of Edinburgh. Charlie is going to do most of the presenting, but I just wanted to start us off with connecting. So thank you for choosing this session, and I wanted to give some kind of position as to why University of Edinburgh even has a strategy for playful engagement in our Information Services department. So Information Services is the big IT department, as you would expect. We're a converged service of IT, libraries and museums. And one of the things that we're particularly aware of is that we often talk about at senior management level the importance of creativity and innovation and making the place a fun place to work and how that makes us attractive, and that those kinds of activities in teams where people are brainstorming ideas and sharing ideas and staying engaged with topics is very important to our business. We talk about creating a place for innovation that is safe to fail. We talk about having open spaces where people can equally share ideas, quite a lot of the stuff that was being talked about earlier. But then when we were actually thinking what would that look like, what kind of things would you look for in an organization if you were saying, yes, we do have that kind of organization? When people say we create a space that's safe to fail, we create a space where innovation happens and everyone can share their ideas. If you were just sort of looking for evidence of that, what would you see? So we tried to think about what those things about creativity and innovation and play and safe spaces might have in common, and thinking about also there's a lot of theory about playful learning and how students learn, how adults learn, and how the importance of bringing structures around play and gaming and thinking about how those kinds of things create the kinds of spaces where people are able to perhaps take on different roles or step slightly out of the box or facilitate a more creative approach. And we were thinking about, okay, so we definitely have some examples of doing that, and you see like sort of Lego brainstorming in meetings and those kinds of serious Lego sets that sometimes are used as management tools. So we thought, well, we have some examples of those. They're a bit ad hoc at the moment. Could we try to look across our whole organization and all of the different things that we do and try to map some kind of framework around this that would then enable us to measure and evaluate whether the approaches and the strategy that we have for creative engagement are actually working? And when you start to think about that, you start to think, okay, well, so we'll need to have a vision or strategy. We need to have some kind of framework against which to evaluate that and decide whether it's useful as a management tool, as a leadership position for the organization. So how can we encourage our staff to be creative? So we set about doing that, and what the work that Charlie has done has been to try to figure out and categorize the different kinds of things that we're doing. She's got lots of examples of the ways that we do that at work, and is now also able to offer that as a range of resources to other people in the institution. And I think we are able to surface and explain what it is that we're doing now in a way that reflect something about the value of the organization, or the values of the organization and the values of the university. And given that this morning we've talked quite a lot about how there are more jobs than people and our potential recruits can choose from a range of different places to work, that actually knowing that perhaps they will make decisions about where to work based on what kind of organization it appears to be and what kind of values and workplace that we're actually providing, that I think that the visible signals around how we do actually support innovation and creativity and in the workplace are very important. It makes us a more attractive place to work, and it seems like it's a good thing to have spent time on. So as well as kind of some of the more traditional IT type activities that you might think that you probably all have in your organizations, hacks and jams and those kinds of activities. What we've tried to do in the playful engagement strategy is to think about the full range of things that we are doing and can do. And Charlie's going to tell you a bit more about it, and I hope that you'll find that interesting and maybe want to find out more about the strategy. Will not fall off the back of the
Okay, so just to begin, something that comes up quite a lot when I talk to people about playfulness, engagement, and creativity is that we can go ahead and we can put up something that states what playfulness to us is, what innovation and what creativity is. But if I wanted to wake you up all right now and say, okay, we're talking about playfulness, we're talking about creativity, let's get up, let's move around the room, everybody raise their hands up, shake them around, have a go, do a bit of a dance, go and talk to somebody. Some of you are going to be absolutely up for that, and I immediately saw some of you raising your arms, and that's great. I'm glad to see some playful people in the room. But you'll also see people doing this. I don't want to be told what's playful. I don't want to be told what's creative. I know what it means to me, and you're not going to tell me what that is or how I'm going to do something. So when it comes to play and engagement and creativity, autonomy is incredibly important. So when Melissa came to me with this idea of taking what we had of quite a culture of using playful and creative methods, we wanted to actually make sure that if we're going to put this together as a strategy, the first thing that I wanted to do was actually hear from everybody right across ISG, our Information Services Group, as to what that meant to them, what they wanted. And one of the methods that I used was the Ketso Kit. If you've not come across the Ketso method or the Ketso Kit before, I really recommend it. So what we did, what I did is I invited a range of people from ISG, from our CIO, directors, managers, line managers, assistants, interns, so people from right across all of our different departments, apps, development, HR, administration, learning tech, right across the board into a room together. And I got them playing with Lego. I didn't introduce anybody. I'm going to say this as well. I did not introduce anybody to each other. I just had them in there playing with Lego, thinking about what playfulness meant to them. And then we used the Ketso method. And what this is it's a very simple method where it allows everybody to write something down. You've got different colored leaves and different branches. Write down on a colored leaf whatever we have indicated that we want on that leaf. So we're asking people what playfulness meant to them, what was creative about the work that they did, what was innovative about the work that they did. And then we were having conversations about what would they like to be able to do. What were the hurdles that came up that prevented them from being able to do these things? And if we went and implemented and tried to get over these hurdles, tried to make all of this available to them, how could we measure this? How could we measure this success? So instead of going away, reading all of the research and the papers and coming up with an idea of what it meant, I spoke to everybody and I got their views, and it was really quite worth it. And the great thing about the Ketso leaves is that we can then go away and don't just talk to people. Collect that data and use that data, embed it in what you are doing and what you're applying. So we took all of the data, and that has actually fed into the strategy that has been developed. And one of the most interesting things to come out of that, so there are many interesting things, but what we found quite valuable was this idea of, and it's been discussed here today, safety to fail. If you're going to be creative, if you're going to be innovative, there needs to be a certain level of safety. You need to know that what you're doing is encouraged and welcomed. It will be rewarded, not penalized. And this image up here is actually from our makerspace. So we have an excellent makerspace available in our library. And this is the showcase of amazing successes and interesting fails, where all of the fails that occur in there are celebrated and they're an opportunity to learn something. So we have innovation fund projects that staff across ISG can apply for to get funding to try something new. And all staff are told that this is a safe to fail project. You're being given this money, you're being given this funding to go and try something new, and what we want to know is whether it works. If it doesn't work, why doesn't it work? What can we learn from this entire endeavor and experience? And what came up was, even though our CIO felt that they were putting out this message of this is safe to fail, a lot of people didn't feel safe to fail. It depended on where they were in the organizational structure. So this is something that we're building in a strategy now. What does it mean to be safe to fail? How can we embody that, not just in the message that we're sending out, not just in the emails, but how can we make sure that it's going through our team structures, that we are talking to each other about what failure means, how we can learn something. So it's more about having that conversation. Just putting out a blanket statement isn't enough. You need to have the conversation with your staff. What does it mean to be safe to fail? What do we expect from you? What is failure? And what is success from failure? What are we learning from it? Additionally, who has access to playful opportunities, to engagement, to creativity? Do all of our staff have the opportunity to be creative and participate in playful opportunities? Is this available consistently across the board? And we had a lot of people putting up their hands and saying, look, the types of roles that they're involved in are quite service intense. They need to be in a location, they need to be solving problems and quick to respond, and they don't necessarily have the opportunity to take the time out to go and participate in some of the activities that we have going on. So again, it's about making sure that we're looking at this as an organization across the board. How can we make sure that everybody has those opportunities? Can we make sure that we are talking with our staff and making sure that they are putting their hand up to go and attend some training, putting their hand up to go and try some fun events and activities that we're running. And this is what we are embedding in our strategy, and these are the discussions that we're having. It's not just about making a statement, it's about having the conversations around that statement. So one of the ways that we do that is the University of Edinburgh has a Festival of Creative Learning each year in February, and this is an opportunity for staff and students across the university to try out something new, to attend events that are cross-disciplinary, so we can have mathematics students going over to our arts college and trying something out and vice versa, and there's a lot of fun that's happening in there. And our staff across ISG are actually really encouraged and welcomed to go and try new methods, try new engagements, see what kind of training and workshops we can provide, talk to students and staff about the services that we're providing in a different format, in a different way. And the great thing about this is, again, it's that learning opportunity. Sometimes we find that things don't work, but sometimes we find that they do. And this has actually led to a lot of those playful and creative ideas and events are now becoming business as usual. And this is what we're providing on a monthly, quarterly basis. So information security, we have a fantastic information security team who get the message across through the means of poetry. And not just any poetry. If you can see in there, there's some excellent geeky references that are going on in that poetry. Running events using secret messages, thinking about encrypting text, dialogues, phishing scams, and social engineering. Again, thinking about that and getting people to come into a room and approach it, not telling you all about the dangerous things, but also role-playing, not getting people to get up and do a song and a dance, but having fun, trying things out, thinking about things creatively, teaching about security systems through the playing Siege tabletop games. So coming at something from a different perspective, allowing people to approach what may be thought of as quite a dry or scary or confronting issue from a different avenue. And this, as I'm saying, this is now business as usual. So this is the way our information security team is getting out there and talking to people. Then we also have digital skills and copyright literacy. Again, I'm not going to tell you about everything that we're doing today. These are just a few of our examples. So we're teaching digital skills and copyright and literacy using board game jams, getting people in to make games, share things, learning about copyright. We're teaching again about copyright and licensing by getting people to make GIFs, and again, they're getting in there and they're able to have a playful engagement with each other, and time out to learn a new skill, to improve their digital skills, understanding copyright, be able to promote their own services in a fun and engaging way, and also to interact with each other in a relaxed environment. We have our Wikipedia editathons that are being run by Ewan, sitting at the back there. I don't know if you had a chance to attend Ewan's session before, but he's doing some absolutely brilliant, fun and engaging work in getting people in the room, learning how to edit and create with Wikipedia. We do information sessions, Will It Bite Me, copyright and literacy, thinking about security. Again, it's the approach, and as I'm saying, this is now business as usual for us. We trialed these things, some of them work, some of them don't, and then we're able to apply them throughout our service. It's also about the approach we take to ourselves and our own training. So staff development, how can we provide the space for staff to take time to develop, to improve? Again, making sure that it's available for everybody and what is going to suit different teams and different services and different training. So this is a nice example. We had our interactive content developer, Jackie Aim. They identified a gap in their team where they were needing some skills around 3D modeling. They wanted to be able to provide this as part of the service. So she took time out. She took, I think, a couple of days to go and teach and refresh those skills to herself using our subscription to lynda.com. Then what they did is they held an afternoon with the entire team where they all sat down and she taught those skills to the rest of the team. So you've got team building in there, communication, having fun, playing around with a new tool and experimenting with what they can do and thinking about what they can now offer as part of their services due to just taking that time out. So student internships have also been discussed quite a lot today. So we run a huge number of internships, paid internships across ISG. And we get so much out of this. It's just an absolute joy. So it helps them gain valuable employment skills and it provides us with that critical student perspective on our services. And when the students are with us, we actually ask them, okay, what do you want to get out of this internship? And they give us so much. If you're interested, they have an IS Student Intern Experience blog. So our interns last year were actually quite a social bunch, and they decided they wanted to create a blog of their experiences of working in an office 9 to 5. And so they all took turns writing a blog post about their experiences, and it actually got quite competitive. Who could write the most interesting and playful and creative blog posts? We had choose your own adventure blog posts and the technology that they were using. They were embedding data sets into their blog posts, and it was marvelous. And they were seeing all of this culture around them that encouraged creativity, and they immediately started embedding it in what they were doing just over a number of weeks working with us over the summer. So we also try to have quite a strong focus, as Melissa was saying, on what it means to work for us and with us. So we have a very strong Healthy Working Lives group. This includes jogging groups, walking and football groups. We have lunchtime and afternoon football groups. Taster sessions on a variety of activities from mindfulness, yoga and Pilates. We have colouring for mindfulness. You'll see this all across the university. So there are spaces where staff can take a moment out, go and have a breather, talk to each other, colour something in, and maybe think about something from a different perspective or a different angle. I was actually pleased to receive an email today that we have an activity occurring next week across the main building that we're all working in, where there are going to be ducks hidden around the building in various places, and we need to find the ducks in order to solve a puzzle. So we are signaling in a number of ways that creativity and playfulness is really encouraged and accepted and rewarded right across ISG. Another way that we are signaling this is we are providing the materials for a playful environment. So we have a couple of boxes in our staff lunch team breakout areas. We have a playful trolley, and these have got games in them. So we actually have a group of staff who have been meeting up at lunchtime for a number of years and playing games every Friday. But we want to make sure that everybody has that opportunity, and not only that, that we encourage this. So we're providing the games. What have we got in there? We've got Werewolf, Double, Zero, Gloom. If you haven't played Gloom before, it's a great storytelling game, gets you thinking about things. And also lots of creative materials for people if we're running workshops, if we're just catching up with somebody for a meeting. How are we going to talk about things? Do we want materials to be able to put down our thoughts and work something through? The materials are there if somebody wants to use them. So we have our document, we have our strategy, we have our goals, and all of this feeds into, it's not just about the goals, it's about the practice and what we're doing day to day, the conversations that we're having with each other. But our goals, that this is really embedded in, that we got from talking, I got from talking to everybody, getting that data set, what people want. It is facilitating the development of playful innovators, researchers, and creators. So giving them that environment, the time, the space, rewarding those activities. Promoting creative, playful, and innovative uses of technologies and tools in our services. So promoting the playful materials that we provide. We provide things like catch boxes, throwable microphones, clickers, and all sorts of fun and fantastic learning technologies and tools. Utilizing our world-class libraries and collections in innovative and engaging ways to enrich our services. So thinking, how can we promote the materials in our collection? How can we get people out there using them? Can we create postcards? Can we be making games out of them? We've got our library development team created a metadata collection game where they've got people playing this very Space Invaders themed game, engaging with the materials in our collection. And supporting that healthy work-life balance and a positive, engaging work environment, and being visible in how we are doing this. Letting people know that we are providing jogging groups, that we are providing games and spaces, that we have the spaces for people to be doing these things. Just promoting them, letting people know what's happening, get involved, see what we can offer as an employer, as an institution. We don't want to be hiding what we're doing, because if we're wanting people to come and work with us, if we're wanting people to come engage with us, we need to tell them what we're doing and why we think it's important. Okay, I'm going to take a break for a moment. I'm really interested, we've got a few moments. If anybody has any questions about this approach that we're taking, I'll invite Melissa to come back up here as well. Opening it up to you, questions. Yes?
I imagine you have a few naysayers. What sort of things that people be negative about, and how we deal with that?
Mm-hmm. So I mentioned autonomy at the beginning of this. Nobody is being told that they have to be playful, innovative, or creative. If you tell somebody that they have to be playful, you're going to get this. You're going to get the naysayers. It has to be a choice. It has to be somebody choosing to interact with this in that way. So this is really permissive and supportive. It's not telling anybody what they have to do. What we're doing is signaling that this is encouraged and rewarded, rather than saying that we want you to do this, you must do this. Yeah.
Have you got any data to show the effectiveness of this policy? For example, students' improvement in digital literacy or something. Have you got any data that shows it's been successful?
This is quite new. So we don't have the data just yet, but we have seen an increase in engagement in the information sessions that we're running. We're having more people turning up to our sessions. We're having more people use the technologies and tools and services that we're providing, and more people are aware of what we're doing. So we don't have the data set just yet, but we're putting it together.
Well, we have a range of different data sets from different kinds of activities. So, for instance, the Wikimedia in Residence, the Wikipedia editathons is into the now hundreds of students and hundreds of staff, and with sustained engagement and return take-up on those kinds of activities. Around the healthy working lives, obviously, there's a lot of data being gathered around, partly about participation in those kinds of activities, but also the way people are. So things like the team one for your steps?
Yes.
So there's data sets around that. We also have data around, numbers around the number of staff who are taking part in innovation projects and how successful those projects are, and the number of staff who are engaging in Festival of Creative Learning activities, how much time they're spending on that, who's going to what, how many sessions we're offering, those kinds of things. So those are all kind of slightly different data sets, but they feed into evaluating the strategy, which is, obviously there's always probably in any organization going to be a smallish group of people who are up for this kind of stuff, and who will also do it in their spare time and additionally to contribute. And part of what we're looking at is trying to see whether this is the same people over and over again, whether we're actually broadening, which kind of activities are broadening to different kinds of people. And we're looking at the demographics around that as well, so trying to see whether there are particular groups of people or types of people or identity groups of people who are particularly engaging or not engaging in some of these things that we call different things. So sometimes the language around this attracts different kinds of people to different kinds of stuff, and understanding and evaluating that. And obviously it's a multi-year strategy, and some of the events have started and are more mature, and others are emerging. And what I would hope to be able to do is certainly a sort of 1 year, 3 year, and 5 years of the strategy is to be able to actually sort of present at sort of management information level the benefits of us having invested not so much money, but time and messaging and being very visible about this. We also, of course, have a staff engagement survey. The university does staff engagement surveys. And we know that information services actually scored, certainly in terms of returns on the survey, first of all, much higher than the rest of the university. So we think there's a level of engagement and people are interested in letting us know what it's like to work here. But also in a number of the categories, information services staff scored much more highly, or rated the university and their engagement with the university much more highly than other parts of the university. I think that's kind of interesting to unpick. And obviously I would like to think it's because of our playful engagement strategy, or that's the credit we're planning to take.
Yeah.
So.
No other questions? Okay. Thank you very much.